Yes, indeed. Something's holding me back. Is it because I'm black? When you look up passing, I'll read a definition that I found. Racial passing occurs when a person classified as a member of a racial group is accepted or perceived, passes, if you will, as a member of another. Historically, the term has been used primarily in the United States to describe a person of color or of multiracial ancestry who assimilated into the white majority to escape the legal and social conventions of racial segregation and discrimination. So you pretend to be something to possibly give you an advantage in this society of inequities, prejudice, racism, so on and so forth. A lot of our ancestors passed in this society. My great auntie, Lucy Murph, beautiful woman. When I say her name, please give a round of applause. Lucy Murph. She's the woman who kind of took me in as an infant. Was extremely light, like you wouldn't even know, that if you didn't know, you wouldn't know she was black, And I remember growing up in her household and just watching how people reacted to her differently. And I don't know what they thought of me. As a young kid, I was taking in all this energy, but people reacted to her differently. Those who didn't realize that she was black. She grew up in the South, so I can only imagine in some instances that worked to her advantage.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
And so we're talking about this because of this Netflix film. DB, break it down for us. DB, break it down for us because we got our guests on the line.
Well, first of all, I'm super excited because Sway, Heather, Tracy, and Citizens, I am a huge fan of the Marvel series Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and that's where I was first introduced to her as Raina, who was exposed to the Terrigen crystals and unlocked her inhuman abilities. That's a whole nother thing that we'll get into at another time. But her human abilities include starring on the AMC series Preacher and in the films such as World War Z, 12 Years a Slave, Loving, and Ad Astra. Her theater credits include playing in Hamlet twice, and she'll be starring as Lady Macbeth in the production of Macbeth alongside Daniel Craig opening next year. She's a Golden Globe, Emmy, and Academy Award nominated actress. But I feel like after her performance in this riveting film that we're talking about now, she's going to be collecting some trophies. The film I'm talking about is Passing, which is in theaters now, and it'll be available on Netflix on November 10th. Please welcome Ruth Negga.
Ruth!
Wow. What an introduction. Thank you for that.
What a journey. Thank you.
Yeah.
What does it feel like to hear all those accolades?
I feel pretty proud of myself now. Thanks for brightening up my morning.
There you go. Come on, Ruth. Welcome to the show. I'm Sway.
Hi.
How you doing? We got Heather B and Tracy G.
Ruth.
Hey, Ruth.
Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Good morning.
Good
Lovely
morning.
to be with you.
Absolutely. With all of the things that the litany of accomplishments that DB ran down the line, do you not work? Is there ever a point in your life where you're not working?
I haven't worked in the last year and a half. I have to say, I've become my couch, to be honest. So, no, I mean, I got tired listening to that. Actually, I need a holiday, obviously.
Absolutely. Where did you grow up, Ruth?
I grew up in Ethiopia, in Ireland, and in England.
Okay, so your parents moved around. Where were you mostly educated? Was it in Ethiopia, Ireland?
I was mostly educated in England.
And then that's where you studied the craft?
No, I studied the craft. I don't know how you say that. In Dublin at Trinity College.
In Dublin,
University
Ireland.
There, yeah.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you happen to go to Dublin, Ireland, if you go to the Guinness headquarters and you look at a picture on the wall, you'll see me and the manager of Guinness on the walls.
No way.
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah, Ruth, I'm there.
I
Ruth.
love it.
You'll see me there. Well, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on the show. I was also a big fan of the film Loving. I think you did an awesome job in that. What was that experience like for you? You got a lot of critical acclaim.
Do you know what? That is a highlight of my life. I can't tell you how I feel about Mildred and Richard Loving. They're my heroes, and I don't really believe in heroes usually, but they certainly are mine. It was an absolute privilege to, bring their story to the screen. I really love what I love about the opportunities I've had, and, with Loving and with this story now, is to bring sort of uncherished stories, previously uncherished stories to the screen, hopefully to a wider audience, who get to meet these wonderful artists and people who haven't, been spotlighted. And I think that's, there's a lot of people who are super excited about doing that kind of work. And, I get to be one of them. And that's I can't tell you the joy that brings me in my life. It's a great, great privilege.
Absolutely, man. That sounds... Loving your work is a great privilege, too. No pun intended.
Absolutely.
All right. This film I'm so interested in. I can't wait to see it. It's an important film. It's going to open up a lot of dialogue. We actually got callers. We start talking about this, and callers are calling to talk about their family experiences with passing.
Wow, that's amazing.
So we're going to take some live calls. But you mentioned Ethiopia. You mentioned Ireland. You come from a multiracial background yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that makes it even more interesting to me how you play this role. What's been your personal experience with racial identity?
Wow, what a big question. Okay. Well, to be honest, it's kind of hard to answer that question because at the core, and I know this, at the risk of making this conversation sound facile, I'm just me. And so really, but, in our world, we sort of have different... We're not made up just of how we feel about ourselves. Our identity is, for good or bad, affected by the perception of ourselves by others, We're often sort of, how we make up ourselves is sort of inextricably linked to how we're perceived by others, And I think for a lot of people, I don't know, being of dual heritage sometimes confuses others. People, humans, we love our boxes, we love our labels, we like a reliable pattern, and for some reason we think that makes us feel safe. But actually it's very limiting, and the kind of constraints that are put upon us by people's assumptions about who we are through this, human constructed idea of race can be quite limiting, and I've had that in my experience, and I think really how we transcend that is really, in many ways, it sounds really complicated, but we have to transcend the boxes that we put people in,
Exactly.
And we have to allow people to define themselves for themselves, because, and I always feel like when we talk about racial definition, I mean, with it, for me, it's not a good history. Always, it's to be honest, anything that circumscribes your life based on these kind of nebulous things like race, I mean, it's sort of, it would be laughable if it wasn't so deadly. Throughout history, the political has become the personal with regards race, because, when you're defining identity and circumscribing people's lives and you're legislating on it, the two are intertwined. So for me, I don't know, I could talk about this for ages.
Yeah.
It just race pervades everything throughout our lives, yet we really don't talk about it really enough. And we feel like at the moment it's everywhere, but kind of what are the substantive conversations we're having? And I really feel that this film is kind of, I don't know, will generate actual conversations that we've never had before regards passing and colorism, which is another taboo in all communities. Really, it's something that no one talks about, and I'm glad that sort of these conversations are coming to the fore, because regards passing, especially, I think many people have never heard of it, and it's been going on for hundreds of years in this country, and it has affected people's lives and families, and people haven't talked about it because the nature of it is to be secretive. It's to hide one's identity as a black person in this specific situation.
Mm-hmm. I love how you broke that down. I can see. Yeah, I like the words you chose, which has triggered more phone lines. So I want to allow some folks to talk to you directly. Janine is on the line from Phoenix. Grand Risings,
Hi,
Janine.
Hey, Janine.
Hey, y'all. How are you doing?
Hey.
Good.
Doing well. Say hi to Ruth.
Hi, Ruth. I can't wait.
Hi.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Okay, you had a comment, Janine?
Yeah, so I wanted to tell you guys, my grandmother, Mary Lucy, was actually a black woman passing for white. She was so fair-skinned and, right down to, like, all of her features. Her lips, her hair was blonde. She was serving in the all-white cafeteria, and she was, certified a cafeteria worker, a dietitian. And, this was during the times of segregation. Even though she had a black husband, people just automatically assumed, that, maybe he worked for her. There was a story that was told they were on Main Street arguing about, what was in the grocery cart. And he was helping her load the groceries into their truck. And a police officer actually heard this black man, quote unquote, disrespecting this white woman. She goes back into the store. He gets hauled off and taken to the jailhouse. And my grandmother comes outside and, sees the truck is there. My grandfather has disappeared. It's a small rural community in Virginia that we're from. And somebody told her, oh, yeah, there was a black man that just got hauled off to the jail, so she had to go get her husband, which was my grandfather. So there were so many people that didn't even realize that, this was actually a black woman born to black parents. But, just through the lines of history, genealogy, and all of that, sometimes you have children that come out that way, or back then, we're beginning to think that maybe her father could have been white. So she was fair enough to pass for, like during the Jim Crow era, the early 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s until she died in the 70s. People just thought that she was a white woman.
Wow. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
Wow.
How did she cope with that? Did she use it to her advantage, Janine, or did she not like that people thought she was white?
I think that was the only way that she can secure employment. When you think about in the past, women had to contribute to households as well. So some people did laundry, some people were cooks, and, she had a big family. I think there were like 13 of my grandfather's siblings, and they were all an array of, different, features. Some had gray eyes, some had green eyes, brown eyes, blonde hair. I think we had an albino, in our family, during that generation. And it was just so important for women to be able to earn in addition, to their husband, because like they were making like not even $100, a month. So it was just really important for everybody to contribute. And I think that she just found, hey, as long as I can get work, we'll just do
what we got to do, right? What was her name?
Absolutely. Mary Lucy Wiley.
There you go. We celebrate her today. Thank you, Janine.
Yes, Thank you so much.
These are the kind of stories this film Passing is going to bring out. We're going to hear so many different.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you're excited about that. And even hearing this story that she told, we got a whole list of callers. DB, I know you want to jump in.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Ruth, at the core of this film is a few different subjects, not only just the topic of race. I mean, you have two women who are in love at a time period where that was such a taboo issue. But the thing that I wanted to ask you about was that because the film is based around the idea of passing, but it's also shot in black and white, which is a conversation in and of itself. So how does the way the film is shot in black and white play into that conversation?
That's fascinating. What a great question. Well, the thing is that Rebecca Hall, the director of this stunning film, she read this book. Someone gave her this book because she was having conversations with her mother about passing, because she found out that her grandfather had actually passed for White. And it wasn't talked about in the family, and it was this sort of taboo subject that was paid occasional lip service, but not really talked about. And so it was kind of a haunting secret for her family. And she read this book, and then she sat down. As soon as she read it, she opened her laptop and she sat down and she just wrote. And she had this vision of it in black and white. And we talked about this impulse, and it really is kind of poetical, but really rooted in reality, that, you know, black and white film, and actually black and white film is actually, it's not black and white, it's grey. It's different gradations of grey. You know, there is no black and white. And in the film, that, along with sort of proximity to bodies, sort of the blurring of the edges of the frame, all of this contributes to a sense of what is real and what is not, what is tangible and what is not. Because race isn't real, it's a construct invented to divide. And also, what is, you know, if someone doesn't look black, are they black? What is blackness? Is it culture? Is it color? How is it part of our identity? Is it not part of some people's identity? How much do they want to deny it? You know, all these themes the film is presenting and sort of leaving us to grapple with, which is really the bravest and the clearest move to make, really, because what I love about art is that it's provocative, it disrupts, it creates, it illuminates, you know, it brings light to darkness. And these are issues and subjects matter, and that I think, you know, we need to talk about, and we shouldn't be ashamed to talk about. I mean, you know, like your previous caller, what's so interesting there is, and she was talking about her grandmother Mary, reasons for passing. You know, people, I've only read, the few stories I've read have been about passing for opportunity, passing for access, you know, passing to get equal pay, passing to go to medical school. You know, really it's about passing to reach one's potential. It's not about discarding blackness.
Yeah.
I haven't read one story about that. You know, and so I think it's important to understand the motivations and impulses behind passing. Mm-hmm. And it really, people, it's been described as a chosen exile, a self-exile, because really you are alienating yourself from your family. You kind of have to sever ties in many ways. You don't have a choice, because if you are found out, there could be deadly consequences. You know, we have to remember, and I think this is what Rebecca's whole film does so beautifully, is there is this ever-present, pervasive feeling of danger. Mm-hmm. What, you know, from the very beginning, you know, Irene, I would say Tessa Thompson's character, played so beautifully by the remarkable Tessa Thompson. You know, she's sort of an opportunistic passer, if you will. You know, it's hot. She needs to get out of the heat. And that's how she bumps into Claire, who has made it her life's work to pass. And I think, you know, it's really important that we explore these sort of forgotten lives, you know. And I think in doing that, we can illuminate present lives and present families and their histories and their secrets. And, you know, I suppose trying to get rid of the shame associated with it, because there was great shame. And I really think it's misplaced shame, because it was a very, very brave decision in my view. I mean, maybe I'm biased because, you know, I love my character. I love Claire Kendry. But, you know, this was a very isolating experience. And as I was, sorry, I'm just rerouting back to an original thread. These passing for the most part in the stories I've read, it's not really a choice, or it's a very complicated one. Do you know what I mean? And it's very isolating. and it's fraught with danger.
Ruth Negga is with us, and we're talking about Passing on Netflix. Tracy, I'm going to let you get the final question. Heather B, I know I'm sure she went to Urban View. Heather B live on channel 126. You can check her out over there. Tracy?
Yeah, Ruth, I love the level of sophistication that you carry. I sincerely do. It also reminds me of Tessa Thompson, who I admire deeply. So please forgive my ignorance, but I do have a question that keeps ricocheting in my mind just off of your last name, because Negga makes me think of nigga. And I just wonder if anyone tried to use that against you when you were younger, or if you just own that. I can't be the only person who ever thought about that.
No, of course not. But, another taboo. Well, the thing is, I think with my last name, people go, why don't you change it? My last name is my father's name, and my father died when I was 7. Mm-hmm. And to change my name because other people have hooked history onto it would kill me. I'm not that kind of person. And it would eradicate him and his memory, and also sort of this sort of Anglo-centricism of the world. My name is a very proud Ethiopian name, and I'm very proud of that. And yes, it's given me grief throughout the years, but you know what it has done? It's made me, how do I say this? It's made me really become very territorial about who I am, my choices, where I stand in the world. And it's given me a backbone, a spine, and if other people have a problem with it, it really is, at this point in my life, it's not my problem. And if I would let the racist history of that word affect me and my pride in my Ethiopian African heritage and my father, then I wouldn't walk tall.
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel good about myself. So in many ways, keeping my name is a fuck you.
There you go. Ruth Negga, ladies and gentlemen. Big round of applause.
She's that nigga.
That nigga.
Wow. I rock with you, Ruth.
Oh, my.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, Lord.
Hey, Ruth, welcome to the show.
We're diving into the taboos today.
Yes. Hey, it's
Find
really great having this conversation with you. Hopefully we'll get to meet you in person soon in studio, and congratulations.
I would love that.
Absolutely.
I would love that.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure, guys.
Mutual.
Pleasure's ours. So you guys make sure you watch Passing on Netflix.
Yes.
What is it, November 10th, DB?
You are correct. Well, it's in theaters right now, but if you can't make it and you want to sit home on your couch with your popcorn and your friends and family, watch it on November 10th.
Okay, go to the theaters. Have the whole experience. Thank you, Ruth, once again.